What's up, and welcome to episode 141 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and I'm joined as always by my main man, Woody V.
141 episodes, man. It's been a while.
It is. It's been going a while now, hasn't it? I'm looking forward to another episode, Woods. And before we introduce our special guest, just a reminder, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or where all good podcasts are found. So today we're joined by another very special guest, a repeat guest of the show. You may know her as Jacinta, Squin, maybe even just Squinter. We know her as a great friend, and it's a big welcome back to Throwback Hoops to Jacinta Govind.
Thank you for having me back, guys. This is as close to a three-peat as I'm ever going to get in my life, and I'm glad it's with Throwback Hoops.
Awesome. I was thinking today, it's a while since we've had you on, right? I don't know, I think maybe last year, maybe after Woody's famous 40th, we might have had you on that time, I think, when you came in and filled in. So it's probably got to be in about a year since you've come on now. So thrilled to have you back. And I know we're really looking forward to this show, right, Woods?
Definitely, really looking forward to the show. Always fun to chop it up with Squin as well. So, yeah. Let's do it.
Sounding a bit husky there, Woods. Anything to tell?
I've been a bit sick, man. I've been battling the flu this whole week, so I apologise.
Like the Michael Jordan flu game for you.
Definitely.
Nice. Well, Squin, as always, as you know, we'll start off with jerseys. I can see you guys rocking some good ones today. So we'll start off with our special guest. What do you got today, Squin?
Yeah, so do you want me to do it? I'll try and do a stand up and do a bit of a spin first. So see this on the front, Jayco, nice. Southside Flyers jersey on the back. Got Abby Bishop. Have a look really at the detail as well and the design.
Yeah.
That's the Indigenous one.
Correct. So this is the Southside Flyers Indigenous Round jersey from 2022. And I'm wearing Abby Bishop's number 10 jersey. Abby was someone I got to play with at the UC Caps way back in the day. And our time together was short, but she was definitely one of the players in the team that used to support me the most. So it was an easy choice for me when I was picking an Indigenous Round jersey to purchase in that year to get Abby's jersey. Just want to give a quick shout out as well. So this design from 2022 is called Sisterhood, and it's designed by Emma Stenhouse. She's the artist that designed it. You can find her on Instagram as well, so everyone go give her a follow if you're into more Indigenous designs and following Indigenous artists. So Sisterhood, the artwork reflects the values and the team holds from within. The artwork shows the journey of a team together with the women lining the journey. So there's a really nice article still on the WNBL website from the 26th of Feb in 2022 all about this one. So if you want to go back in the archives, check this one out.
It's a good choice. Yeah, great colours on that one too. They do a good job with some of the Indigenous ones, don't they? So I know the NBL have just brought out some of theirs as well, haven't they, Woods? We saw some of them in the round last week. Some are good, some of them are a bit boring, I think. I mean, there's definitely some nice looking ones. So, no, that's a great start there.
Can I just say something? I actually listened to Shooting the Breeze maybe 2 years ago. You had Abby Bishop on there, right? And
we did.
I remember the bond that you guys had from that, listening to that episode. And she was very affectionate towards you and talked fondly about the time you guys spent together playing. So I remember that. So it was nice.
Yeah, it's very nice of her to say that, to be honest. I don't think I would have been the easiest DP to have around in such a talented squad. So she had a lot of patience, which was very handy at the time. But also, thanks for listening and great memory recall there, Woods.
Thanks, appreciate it. I do listen to your show.
Yeah, it was a while ago, though, that interview. That was
a few years back, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, Woods, over to you, mate. I see you rocking a nice WNBL one as well. So what do you got today?
Well, I've already worn this, but I've only got the one WNBL jersey, so I thought I might as well wear it, being the theme of the show today, right? So
Woods is standing up, rocking the Flames. I believe that's going to be Willoughby, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, nice. She was the one and done, right? From memory.
Well, Squin can tell you. Adelaide.
Yeah, she was one and done with the Sydney Flames, so she played for them in 2022, and then last season she played with the Adelaide Lightning, but she hasn't returned for this season that tips off tomorrow. I'm not too sure where she's playing right now. I think possibly in Europe.
Unsigned, actually, by the looks of things. It says she's a free agent when I looked online earlier today. She played college basketball at the University of Virginia. And she led the ACC in scoring as a senior, 19.2 points and 7.7 rebounds per game. She was with the Phoenix Mercury. Well, she's drafted by the Phoenix Mercury and then traded to the New York Liberty, where she was on and off, spent 3 years. During the off season, obviously having the ability to go and play in Australia, she came to the Sydney Flames and Adelaide Lightning, and from all reports, a free agent at the moment. Europe, you're hearing that she's got some opportunities in Europe, Jacinta? Or?
Oh, I think I was probably just maybe estimating that she's probably landed somewhere in Europe, but I haven't seen anything official just yet.
Yes, but someone with her skill set and ability will land a job somewhere, right? Tell me a little bit about her contributions towards the WNBL.
Well, yeah, she was actually the Sydney Flames MVP for that 2022 season. And I think I don't know if she was actually in contention for any of the major WNBL awards, but she was certainly the most consistent. And from what I hear from the coaching staff of that year, Jocelyn was also someone really important in that group where there was a lot of turbulence happening off court, on court, whatever. But she was someone who was consistently supportive of everyone, demonstrating a really positive attitude despite all of those bumps in the road. So that the coaching staff at the time also felt like that warranted her being named the MVP for that year. And then she went on to play for Adelaide last season and had a pretty successful season. Probably not as consistent as the season before with Sydney, but it was just nice to have her back in back-to-back seasons, because it doesn't often happen with imports in the WNBL or the NBL, really.
Well, I'll tell you what, you made a really good point there about the kind of character she has. During a difficult season where all that off-court drama was there, she was able to be a bit of a leader and galvanize the locker room, and imports are higher on character, not just play. So, that feedback, if it passes on, it's only going to put her in a good light for employment in the future. So,
definitely.
Good stuff, Woods. I'd normally tell you off for wearing a jersey twice, but that's a nice one, so I'll pay that one. That's good. Maybe we'll both have to get a new jersey this year, right?
Definitely.
We'll go to the WNBL game. So
For
I'm
sure.
going to break the trend now. I was going to rock one of my Loz Nicholson jerseys, but I wanted to wear a Hawks one this week. I've been watching a lot of Hawks this week, so I'll just stand up and show you what I'm rocking today. This is one that we got, Woods, when we were over in Atlanta. I'm looking forward to show this one.
I know exactly what he's wearing. So Robbie's wearing the white number 1 Jalen Johnson jersey, and my brother Jalen Johnson had himself a game today, right?
Actually, a career high today, Woods. 29 points. That was his NBA career high. I think he got 28 2 seasons ago. So, yeah, look, it's interesting. He's had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but it was good to see him turn it around today. Yeah, I just thought, given he's recently signed that big contract, so for those that didn't see, he got a 5-year, $150 million contract, and it was signed just before the cutoff for these extensions that they could have signed there. So I was really pleased, Woods. As you know, I'm a big fan of this guy. So this is his Nike Atlanta Hawks Jalen Johnson jersey. It's the official one. You can see with the sponsors. You can only get those from the actual games. You can't get these from the NBA store or anything else like that. So I really like this jersey. So JJ's in his 4th season after getting drafted out of Duke at pick 20 in a very deep 2021 draft. So for those that have got Wikipedia handy, chuck in the 2021 NBA draft. There's some names in that draft, I'll tell you what. So I think that's going to end up maybe being one of those really great drafts as time passes there. So he's still only 22 years of age, so amazing. He just had the one college season there. And look, someone I've said a few times on the show now is someone I fully expect to be a star in this league. I think this contract's going to end up being money well spent there, Woods. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely. And one thing I want to point out here is for these guys like Jalen Johnson, professional athletes, to make it, Squinn will attest this as well. It's the support they get to get there, right? And what I really like about Jalen Johnson is to see his parents on the sideline every single game. Both mom and dad are living every moment, every play, like, they're on the floor with him. So I think the contract, it's going to pay off, right? He's just going to develop
30
nicely.
million a season when that salary cap's going to rise each year there. I think that's pretty good.
Definitely.
Money there. I mean, it seems like a crazy amount of money for us regular people there, but for NBA salary-wise, I think that's pretty good. So
the kind of ceiling that he has means he's going to outplay that contract.
Well, he's a two-way player, isn't he? He's a big guy, he can handle the ball, he's athletic. He's still kind of learning his craft there. He's improved his shooting quite a bit since he came in the league. So, yeah, really excited to have him there. And worked out good timing. Even though the Hawks lost today, he did get his career high. So thought I'd show.
Seems like a good kid as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's switched on. And geez, he can throw a dunk down on people as well, can't he? You wouldn't want to get his way on a fast break. Well, appreciate the jerseys, guys. Card of the week. I did come with the women's theme this week, so I know Squin's going to love this one. So, Squin, kind of a new segment since we had you on last. I'm doing a card of the week now, so I'll just pick a random one in the collection. This week, none other than Lauren Jackson.
Ah, perfect.
So it's a nice signed Lauren Jackson. So it's a 2021-22 card signed by LJ. Pretty interesting on the back. It calls her the Dirk Nowitzki of the women's game, which I thought was quite funny there. So really nice card. Hopefully you can get a decent look at that. Yeah, it's always good to have anything signed by her. I do have the signed jersey from last year, but nice to have that signed card, and that sort of takes pride of place. I've got pretty much every Aussie that's played in the NBA, and then I've got that one. I want to start to get some. I'd love to get like a Steph Talbot and a few other sort of ones like that. There's not as many that they've made, the autograph cards of the WNBA players, but yeah, that's hopefully the start of a bit of a collection to come there, and that's this week's card of the week. All right, well, we've got Squin on because she's the absolute authority and expert on women's basketball in Australia. So I did mention before we started recording, I think I had NBL on the run sheet. Woody scolded me for that, so I'm sorry, Wood. So please accept my apologies. We've moved up the WNBL. So we're going to do a bit of a season preview. So as Squin mentioned, the season starts tomorrow. So it's Tuesday the 29th of October now. So we're just under 24 hours away from that first game, which I know we're all pumped about. So Squin, I've obviously got you to do some homework, so I do appreciate you doing the homework there. Hopefully the dog didn't eat the homework or anything else like that, but just got a few storylines ahead of this season that I thought we might as champs, the Southside Flyers. So they've only been able to bring back 4 players from last year's championship side and also have a new coach. However, they did pick up 2 very handy players, an American Naz Hillman, as well as veteran Alice Kunik there. So just firstly, how important will this duo be to the team? And then how difficult a task do you think it'll be for this team to try and go back-to-back?
I think, bringing in Alice Kunik is a massive feat for the Southside Flyers because she is such a well-seasoned player. She's played a lot of her career overseas. She had a lot of success over there playing in Europe. Still a prolific scorer. It's great to see her now back in the WNBL after coming back and playing with the Fire last season. I'm hoping that she's able to be a little bit more consistent and perhaps play a little bit more relaxed than she did last season. I wonder if she put a bit too much pressure on herself last season playing under Shannon in a team that was expected to win another go back-to-back themselves. But also it was a year where all eyes are on the players for Opal's selection ahead of the Olympics. And for some reason, Alice was not on the Opals list for many, many years until recently. Why? I could not tell you why.
She was great in those warm-up games this year as well, wasn't she? Like, she was really impressive. I would have liked to have seen her. Obviously, I would have liked to have seen Loz Nicholson make it as well, but she must have gone close to making that team, right?
Yeah, so Alice certainly did. I think she made the last cut to making the team for Paris. So she was so close that when the Opals travelled to Paris in their final preparation for the Olympics, Alice and Amy Atwell actually travelled with them and were still training with them. And then Alice and Atwell were on their way home from Paris once the rest of the Opals were preparing for the tournament. And then Atwell got the last minute call up and had to go back again when Beck Allen was ruled out with injury. So that's how close those two were to that squad. But Alice, she is provides a lot to a team, obviously experience, but she can be a knockdown shooter. I'd like to see her try and put the ball on the floor a bit more this season and not rely too much on her outside shot, especially when it's not going her way. But she's also can be a great defender and she's still got her quickness and length. She's still just as quick as she was when she, first started playing. But on the plus side, she's best friends with Beck Cole. So having that kind of team chemistry is going to be infectious in this group, and hopefully it'll be a bit of an anchor for this group. The Flyers have a reputation in the WNBL community for very quickly being dissatisfied with the referees' calls, to put it as diplomatically as possible. So I'm hoping that Alice Kunik's maturity and her strong bond with Beck Cole can kind of help steady the ship a little bit more. But she's going to be a great player to complement Kylie Ernst, who's just an absolute gun. And also Maddie Rocci. I think they've all had some playing experience before. So she's a big get for the Flyers for sure. And I think Alice now being at home as well, because she's originally from Melbourne, is going to be probably a little bit better to look after herself off court. She's had some pretty bad injuries in the last 12 months too. She had a really bad, I think she kind of like broke her arm at the end of the WNBL season. Then she kind of got like punched in the face when she was playing in Europe and had to have all this dental work done. Like she's had a rough trot. So yeah, hopefully this can be a great season for her. And then you also mentioned
a new coach coming in as well, Squint. Sorry, I know I asked about Naz Hillman as well, but what are your thoughts about a new coach coming into a championship side like this? That's got to be pretty difficult, right?
Well, I think as well, Christy Harrower has been around the Opals program and some programs in Melbourne long enough, or had some relationship with most of these players one way or another that I don't think it's going to be too unfamiliar.
True.
Like she's just coached Tara Reid in NBL 1 South when they played for Keilor Thunder. I'm sure she's played. I think she's had a relationship with like the likes of Carly Ernst when Carly was playing for the Boomers a couple seasons ago, and Christy Harrow was the assistant. Rochi was also playing for Keilor Thunder. I don't think it would be too much of a change. I imagine that Christy would have some similar things that Cheryl would have implemented, given that they've also coached Opals before. But Harrower, being one of our best point guards in the Opals program history, is going to bring a different focus, and I think it's going to probably suit the likes of Lothridge and Rochi a little bit more. So I don't think it's going to be too tricky changing the coach. But Naz Hillman as well, another good get, another great opportunity for an import to come back-to-back seasons after being with the Boomers last season. She's probably going to help fill the void of Lauren Jackson and alike. And I think another name worth mentioning is Michaela Vaughan, who's actually that tiny bit taller than Naz Hillman. So Michaela Vaughan at 6'3" and Naz Hillman at about 6'2". So they're going to be your 4s and your 5s for the Southside Flyers. They're going to be pretty hard to match. Both of them are quite skilled with back to the basket post moves, which we love to see. It's been a dying art in a lot of basketball, and we love to see it any way that we can. And I know that Harrower herself loves that style of play. Like she's still all for the mid-range game and all for the post action. So they're probably going to have big roles to play. But I've seen some footage online of Michaela Vaughan too, and she's quite good on a pick and roll and being able to read one to slip a screen. So I think with the likes of Rochi and Taya Burrows, who's returned to the WNBL, I think that's going to be a nice combination.
It's funny you mentioned that post game there, Squint. So Woody came out and watched a few of the Mighty Hills Hornets games this year, and I know he was really impressed with Meg Jefferson, who's obviously found her way onto a roster. How did you describe her game, Woods? You said it was like that old school game, didn't you?
Absolutely, and I think the women's game still has a place for that more than the men's game. I think you can slow it down in the half court and get some of that post action happening. I see it more in the women's game anyway than the men's game these days. Maybe I'm wrong, Squin.
I haven't watched a lot of the men's game, to be honest, since NBL 1 finished, because I needed a big break from basketball once NBL 1 was finished. So I haven't watched a lot of NBL. Like I think my mum's even watched more NBL than me this season so far. But I would agree that I even noticed in NBL 1 that a lot of the power forwards and centers were being used more as facilitators for rim protection and just for pick and roll. There wasn't a lot of that back to the basket post action unless there was a very clear mismatch.
Well, the next one I wanted to ask you there, Squin. So, look, I was pretty surprised just doing my research, just how much player movement there's been this off-season. We mentioned, obviously, the Flyers. A lot of teams have really, coming back with different lineups this season. Give us 1 to 2 teams that you think have recruited well and are maybe poised for big seasons this year.
I think just at the top, Bendigo Spirit have arguably gotten the 2 best free agents. They've signed Mariana Tolo, so she's returning to the WNBL after playing in Europe for a number of seasons, and Sammy Whitcomb as well. So Sammy, as we know, had a lot of seasons with Perth, and then she was at Townsville last year, and now she's with Bendigo this year. I think she's really chasing that WNBL championship. She has a couple of WNBA championships under her belt, but still looking for that WNBL chip. And I think this is one of her best chances of definitely getting it. So Bendigo, getting those two,
that's a pretty good
two
duo,
Olympians,
isn't it? Yeah,
two Olympians is a huge ploy. Yeah. And I think Bendigo recruited well in that sense. There was rumours that Christy Wallace was going to Bendigo as well, but she hasn't signed anywhere as far as I'm aware. And when I did a couple of other podcasts previewing the season, we also kind of determined that there's probably not a space for Wallace on that roster there because they're quite guard heavy, Bendigo. The thing I'm worried about with Bendigo is just their depth. Like, they've got a very good 6-7 players, and they've got people like Tolo, Griffin, Kelly Wilson, who have got a lot of playing experience together. But, you know, beyond that, what else have they got? So that's going to be interesting to watch. But the other team that have recruited really well, I think, is Perth. They were very successful last year. Speaking to Coach Petrick at one of the post-game press conferences at a Sydney Flames game last year, he used the words himself. He had to really moneyball that team. He didn't have as big a budget as he did in the previous years where we saw the likes of Jackie Young and Marina Maybury on their team. So he said I had to really moneyball it. He had to be really smart. He found the right chemistry of players, and they were there like just
they weren't far off,
inches away from a WNBL championship. And so he's done a really great job of retaining some key pieces. So he's retained Annalie Maley, Amy Atwell, and Mila Goodchild, who is now Mila Soa. She's gotten married in the off-season. Congratulations to her. And then they've added Letitia Amahir. So she's a bit of a gun. She's only like 23, 24, currently plays for the Atlanta Dream in the WNBA. She's someone who was dunking in high school. So she's super athletic. She played college at South Carolina. I mean, already a big tick.
Yep. Program there.
Yeah, big program. She was the number 8 pick in the WNBA draft in 2023 to Atlanta, where she has stayed for a second season. And in the meantime, she's already played at 2 Olympics and 1 Women's World Cup. So that is another huge get. So whoever is recruiting in Perth, they've had some excellent imports in the last 3 seasons. Because, I mean, we saw Aari McDonald as well last season, who could have been MVP had she not gotten injured. So, yeah, I think Bendigo and Perth have done a great job recruiting.
Good call. I thought that with Perth actually myself. I'm a mixed one as well. I'm a Perth and a Flames fan. I've never quite worked out who I go for most. Obviously, Perth's where I'm originally from, and I'm such a big Wildcats fan. But I do have a real soft spot for the Flames, and obviously Loz Nicholson there. But yeah, I think that Perth lineup's going to be pretty good this year. And yeah, got to say, really looking forward to the season to start. Wanted to ask you as well about the team that, you know, Woods is obviously rocking that nice jersey there today. So that's, of course, the Sydney Flames. So, look, we mentioned Loz a couple of times now. So there was some great news that came out just in the last, month, really, that she's pregnant. She'll be missing this season. So, look, she's a good friend of ours. We want to wish her and her partner, Jacob Jackomas, all the very best.
Also a good friend of ours.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're expecting a child in 2025. So it's awesome news for the two of them there. You couldn't, happen to 2 nicer people there. So we're absolutely thrilled for them.
Definitely.
There. Look, obviously it's a massive loss for the Flames, right? I think she would have been coming out, wanting to fire this year after that, Olympics disappointment there. But how do you see this Flames team going there, Squint? Do you think they can improve on last season's 5th place finish, or do you think it might be a little bit of a long season for them there?
Yeah, so when you tasked me with some very good homework, by the way, Robbie, you've done a great job, and you asked me to pick a top 4, like flip a coin for who's going to be in that 4th spot, and Flames would be on one side of that 4-sided coin. Yeah, the Flames, they have a very talented team, but they are a little bit younger than they were last season. I think it will all come down to chemistry with this team and making sure that they're kind of disciplined to their roles. Getting Michaela Roof is also a really good get because you know what you're going to get with her. She doesn't like to stray away from what her role is. You know you're going to get rebounds. You know you're going to get a power forward in a receiver spot anytime the ball is penetrated. So she's like very reliable. Fundamental and very reliable. It also depends on, I guess, like we said, they are quite young, but it also just depends on where the other roles of those young players fit, because between the likes of Carla Pittman has gone from DP now to full contracted player. So she's been in the W Round WNBL a little bit longer, now. But then we've got Bonnie Diaz, who's just come from the COE, and she's a gun.
I had the pleasure of commentating her. She is a gun, isn't she? Can I just go
She's
back
an
to Carla
absolute
Pittman as well there, Squint? So I've called her games the last 3 seasons, and she's just literally got better each and every season there. So do you think she could have a part to play on this team this season?
Yeah, I think between the likes of Pittman, Diaz, and also Kalea is back for the Flames, which we love. It's going to be... I think they're all going to be competing for minutes, and I think it's just going to depend on who's going to give what the coach wants on the day. I don't think Guy's not really one to play favourites most of the time, and I don't think he can afford to with a young roster. I mean, if the objective for the game is just more defense, he's just going to have to go maybe more with Diaz than Pittman or something like that. So it's just going to be interesting to see what combos in terms of filling those gaps around George and Roof and Celeste Taylor and Swain. That's probably going to be your main 4 with Morris at the 5. And then who's going to be able to adapt so quickly to get into that rotation and produce the most.
It does feel like Renee Garlett really got the best out of Carla Pittman in those last few seasons with the North Bears there in the NBL 1 East. So she's obviously a great coach as well there. So no, it's good. And like you said, going back, it is a younger team as well. Some opportunity for some of these girls to perhaps step up and make their mark on the season on the team this year.
Yeah, definitely Emma Clark. It's time for Emma Clark's breakout season. She was on the verge last season. She was very productive, I think, with limited minutes for the Flames. It's her season to have a great breakout in 24-25.
No, good stuff. And just a little bit off topic as well, I did hear today, Squin, the WNBA, did you hear that more than half of the coaches have already been sacked so far in the off-season? I thought that was remarkable. Seven coaches already. That's
crazy. The coach from the Sun has... was announced this morning as she's been sacked.
That's a tough job, isn't it?
I did also see headlines about the Players Association and the CBA and some kind of renegotiations around that. Truth be told, I haven't read into it a lot because sometimes the business admin side of basketball goes way over my head. I don't have that business admin part in my brain developed very well. So sometimes I'll see the headline and go, I know that's important. But I don't have the bandwidth to attend to it right now. So I don't think that has anything to do with coaches or if it's coincidental. But yeah, 7 WNBA coaches are
sounds like a
out.
tough gig, doesn't it? Jeez, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Well, Squin, it's time for us to put you on the hot seat there. So I did mention we'd sort of finish off this little preview there with a few predictions and that there. So,
wait.
You got something, Woods. All right.
I got something for Squin, right? Squin, I wanted to ask you...
on the homework sheet. This is good.
No!
I wanted to ask you about a young rookie out of Melbourne. She first came on my radar when she had 40 points in a game for the University of Nebraska, I think it was, a couple of years ago. I'm talking about Jaz Shelley. She was recently drafted in the NBA by the Phoenix Mercury, if I'm not mistaken, and waived. I think she had an NBL 1 season with Ballarat, and she's going to make her professional debut tomorrow with Geelong. So, yeah, I want to hear a little bit about her. What is Australia going to expect from Jaz Shelley this season?
Yeah, I think a lot, to be honest. Jaz Shelley is someone who demonstrated her talent at quite a young age. She entered the COE quite young. She was part of the very iconic under-17 Australian women's side who won the World Championship under Shannon Seaborn. And that was a team that had the likes of Lyra McSpadden, Cass McLean. I think Ezzy was in that team. Mon Conti was in that team. And Jaz Shelley was in that team as like a bottom ager. Like she was picked in that team like really young. She was so young that when they had gone and won that gold medal, and then 6 months later she was at the Country Cup tournament in Albury showing everyone her medal. Like she was there to play 18s. It was wild. So she is really talented. She started her college career. So I think she's a Vic Country girl, born and bred.
Terralgan, yep.
That's right. Good place for basketballers, it certainly seems like.
Yeah. Bit of a hotbed there.
Yeah. She started her college career actually with the Oregon Ducks. So she played next to Sabrina and then transferred over to Nebraska. And her college career just continued to grow. And it was great. I think she's one of the few Aussie athletes that, well, next to Georgia or more, that really had a good opportunity to make the most of the NIL deals over there as well.
Nice.
So she was in Nebraska at a great time.
Yeah.
She, the Nebraska Huskers, did really well last year, making March Madness. They came up against Iowa. Shelley was tasked with guarding Caitlin Clark, and also did a really great job on her. So, and yeah, she was the very first signing that Geelong announced. So, a good get. I think Jazz has said before that her decision for WNBL was between Geelong, Bendigo, and Townsville. And she stuck with Geelong. I guess being a country Vic team probably had a bit of weight behind it. Well, also Bendigo did. But just to correct you slightly there, Wood, she's actually played WNBL before.
Yes.
So she played for the Melbourne Boomers and won what was known as the Rookie of the Year back then.
Before she went off to college, right? That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Still
that could
able
be your next Jersey Woods, maybe. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
Those Geelong jerseys aren't bad. I think I've seen their Indigenous design, and it's they're not bad. They're not bad at all. That could be a really
what's
good
their
jersey
team
to
like
get.
mascot symbol thing? Geelong. What are they?
Oh, they're Geelong United. So
Okay.
I think it's
so you can't really have a mascot when you're United, can you? Yeah.
They have a really nice. So their uniforms are like navy blue, white trim, white number and lettering, and I think they've got an Indigenous design, kind of like as a watermark on the body of the jerseys.
I'm sure.
But yeah, Jazz Shelley, she's a great shooter, great passer, and very good on-ball defender. So I'm expecting a big year from her in the WNBL.
For sure. And you're right, 2018 and 19 actually, so 2 seasons in the WNBL before she went to college.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Hot seat time, Squin. We'll get that bright light shining down on you. So just want to get a couple of predictions before we wrap it up. So, look, we mentioned briefly the semis before. Tell us who you think are going to be the 4 teams in the semis and who goes on to win it all. Who are you tipping?
Yeah, look, I think I'm going to have to keep going on the record to say that while we love the podcasting, the commentating, the conversations in our community, doing predictions is probably the thing that we dread the most. So I'm going to give it a good crack. I think this time last year I was wrong, and I'm happy to wear it when I'm wrong. So I'm going to pick for the 4, Bendigo, Southside Flyers, Perth Lynx, and for the 4th, it's really tight. Because all of the rosters are quite good, are very good, I should say. I think that 4th spot is going to be a toss-up. Oh, so you can never count out Townsville with a coach like Shannon Seaborn, because I think it's going to be a toss-up between Townsville and Sydney for the 4th spot.
Adelaide a sneaky chance with Steph Talbot?
Adelaide, oh look, I really like how Adelaide play that positionless basketball, very free-flowing, very read and react, very hard to guard and scout, but that was very successful for them last season, and then come in the back end of the third, it would just stall and they could not close out games. So until they're able to overcome that, they also have a pretty young roster, but they're the one team of this next season that have actually maintained, or I should say have retained the most players from last season, so they've got some stability. But Adelaide, they're just a little bit too inconsistent for me to be confident with them. I really want them to do really, really well because I love that roster and that style. But I would say the 4th spot would be between Townsville and Sydney.
Who's going to win it all?
I think Bendigo.
Okay.
They have to. The team history, the chemistry that a lot of those players got. CG has played a long career. Kelly Wilson is still playing. She's going to be 40 this year. Sammy Whitcomb, they're all very good, experienced players in their own respective careers as individuals, but they all know how to win. They all have that winning culture and that winning experience, which I think can really take them to the next level. It's great when you have a talented team on paper that have great chemistry, but unless you have that winning culture about you, that can be a real X factor when it comes to championship time. So I think Bendigo, they've got to win it this year.
Well, the good thing about these predictions, right, so if you get it right, you can just tell everyone, refer to the moment you picked it. If you get it wrong, you just don't mention it again. So Woody and I do that all the time, don't we, Wood? So No, actually, no, we do. We actually go back and say who we picked, and we sometimes look stupid there. But I like that as a prediction. Have you got a finals pick, WNBL Woods? I was thinking Bendigo as well.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't give me the homework, man. So.
No, well, I'm putting you on the spot. You know, I like to do that.
All right. Well, I'll keep it at home. We'll go with the Flames.
Oh, nice. Okay, big call. Big call. A couple of little fun ones I had there as well, Squin. So, will Lauren Jackson play in the WNBL this season? Is there any chance of that?
You know, the Southside Flyers are the one club who really drag their feet with announcing their full roster ahead of season. And I would have expected that they have now announced their full roster. Whether they've officially announced all their players or not, you know, they've got Paige Burrows back in there. She's come over from the Boomers. They've got Nikita Young coming back. And they've got Manuela Poch. So Young and Burrows may still be on DP contracts. But I don't think they did them the service of announcing them properly. But now their roster's full, I don't think LJ's coming back. I think they would have announced LJ a long time ago to make sure the fans had enough notice that she's coming back and to boost membership numbers. So I think LJ's done.
That would be strange not to see her out there as well. So, and Leilani Mitchell, I'm assuming, is done as well.
So from what I've been told, she was still wanting to play, ready and willing to play, just couldn't find the right contract for her and for her family at this point in time, but still definitely willing to play. So she's, you know, if someone's out there that needs a player still, she should be a great get.
Absolutely. And the last one for WNBL, Squin, give us a team that you think might be a bit of a must-watch for fans. So we talk about it as the league pass team when we're talking NBA. It doesn't have to be the team that you think is going to be the best, but who's a team that you think will be a fun watch this season?
I think Perth. Perth's really fun to watch. You know, they've got Maylee Atwell and now Ali Wilson playing together. They have had recent success playing for the Kangaroos, the 3x3 team. So we know that Maylee and Wilson, along with Marina Whittle, and Lauren Mansfield, of course, they all played at the Olympics in Paris. And
with Damon Lowry as coach, right?
Yeah. How random is that? And they were great. Like, they did us really proud over in Paris. Atwell was originally part of that fold. Mila Soa as well is part of that extended Kangaroo squad. So these are players who all know how to play really well together, and they get along well with each other on and off the court. So they're going to be super exciting. They're going to be super quick. You expect Maylee to obviously rebound. That's her job. You can expect a lot of intensity for lots of high percentage from the 3-point range. I think Patrick really likes that style of play anyway, of just getting lots of shots up. But yeah, they're always really fun to watch. And then you've got Letitia Amahir. She's going to be great to watch too. So I think Perth's going to be the fun one to watch.
And where are we seeing these games? I know obviously ESPN had them last year, a couple of the free-to-wear channels. Is it going to be a similar sort of coverage to last season, do you think?
Yeah, so the WNBL announced quite early in the piece that games will be returning to ESPN, and I think they will still be returning to 9 now. And I think for overseas viewers, you can still watch it on YouTube sometimes via the FIBA page.
And Wednesday night's the night, isn't it? That's where
there's 2 ESPN games a week this year.
Okay, so I think it's every Wednesday and then another
on Saturday. I think they've got the ESPN game. Is it a 9:30 game on Saturday in Perth? I think there might be. So I think.
So that's probably the increased coverage, because it was always just a Wednesday night game on ESPN, and now that they have increased it to have the second game on ESPN on the Saturday. The 9:30 p.m. games are tough, but since the last season, I've now moved and I've got a TV in my room, so I have the luxury of watching games in my bed. I did that for the Olympics too, those 5 a.m. games. You set the alarm at 4:55 and turn the TV on, and bang, I'm watching right from my bed. So
hey, still no WNBL fantasy this year. I know I was looking out for it. I know I would have loved to have got involved with that. I really think that gives people a more appreciation of the game and lets people watch it more. So I'd love for the WNBL to get on board with that next season. I don't think it would be hard. They've got the platform already with the NBL there. But anyway, we'll talk about that at another
that's
moment.
a really good point, because you know, starting. This will be the last season where the WNBL is primarily going to be owned by BA. The season after, that's when the privatization comes in. Right. So the part of the league has been privatized now with the likes of Robin Denholm's group, who is one of the major owners of the Hoops Capital, and Larry Kesselman's chipped in. So once I know I've heard on the grapevine that they've already got a plan of what they'd like to implement for the WNBL. They've already asked a few people to be responsible for certain parts. So they're already preparing for when, the takeover happens, so to speak. So we can expect a lot of changes in things like broadcast, and hopefully marketing, advertising, etc. But given that the NBL has that relationship with, Supercoach, I can't see why they can't add the WNBL once the privatization happens.
I'll give you my daughter as an example, Squint. So she's joined an NBA fantasy comp this year for the first time. So proud moment for Dad there with his 9-year-old joining it. She's taken so much more of an interest in this first week already. She's watching more games. She's asking me about how her players have gone. Little examples like that, I think, is enough to, for them to get on board. It can grow the game and just, grow fans at a younger age as well. So hopefully that happens. Hey, Woods, I know you're itching to talk some NBL, but we just wanted to quickly
No. It's all good. I'm enjoying this, man.
Series.
I'm enjoying this.
You know how much I enjoyed the WNBA finals.
I'm loving it.
I was messaging you after every game, right? So,
good.
Squint, I wanted to ask you, obviously, so New York won their first title with a thrilling 3-2 series win over Minnesota. So firstly on that, they are changing it to best of 7 next year, which I think is probably a good idea. But really enjoyed the games. We were treated to 2 overtime games as well as a buzzer beater game as well. And we had obviously Australian representation in the end, and with a player and a coach. And in the end, it was Aussie coach Sandy Brondello who led her team to the win. Just wanted to ask you, Swin, did you enjoy the series? And I guess secondly to that, do you think the Lynx were a little bit hard done by some of the maybe you could say questionable calls in a few of the games there? What were your thoughts?
Oh, short answer, yes and yes. Absolutely incredible series. I knew it was going to be entertaining, but I wasn't expecting it to be like a high level of intensity and entertainment for all 5 games.
Yeah.
Like, that was relentless. Like, it was such a monumental way to end what's probably been a very historic WNBA season, given off the back of the success of Caitlin Clark and the college season, and the momentum that women's basketball is finally getting globally. What a way to kind of reflect the last couple of years with such a great grand final series in the 5 games. But also, yes, Minnesota certainly got jibbed in that final play phase. Yeah. I've seen the clip so many times. Stewie,
it was a travel, right?
Yeah. Oh my word! It was a Russell Westbrook 7th step travel. That was ridiculous. Stewie was looked like she was joining a conga line more than making a move to the basket. She took that many steps. That was such a travel.
Hey, Stewie as well in game 4. She could have fouled out 2 or 3 times in that last quarter. She had 4 fouls, I think, at 3/4 time. She had a couple of obvious ones, maybe 1 or 2 50-50 ones. For whatever reason, the officials wanted her out there. But yeah, that was kind of why I brought up that, obviously there's the travel that everyone's talking about. There was a couple of questionable calls in game 1 as well. Obviously Minnesota did win that one on the road there. But yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for the Lynx. I didn't really have a horse in the race there, but at the end I just felt a little bit sorry for them. But it was a great final series, wasn't it?
Yeah, and for all the people to get called for a foul in that dying seconds of game 5, it was our own Alana Smith.
Yeah.
And which, look, I see how the ref saw it as a foul because she's gone from straight up to putting her hands down at an angle, but I could see no contact at all that would be causing Stewie to chuck up such a shot. And it was absolute heartbreak for Alana because she's had an incredible 12 months. She's fought her way back to having a successful WNBA career and making the Opal squad and performing well, finally getting some court time at an Olympics and showing what she can do. But her whole, her career and her success isn't hinged on that moment. But you got to really feel for her.
Absolutely. Look, it's already got me excited for next season already. We'll obviously find out who's actually going to be coaching some of these teams, as we mentioned there. But no, a great final series there. Good that it's going to best of 7. I'm sure a lot of people would have liked to have seen potentially 2 more games like the 5 that we saw there. And yeah, I think it was just a good advertisement for basketball all around the world there. So, well, Swim, we really appreciate it. That was a great wrap there with the WNBL and a little bit of WNBA talk at the end. As I mentioned, Woods, I know you've got some NBL to talk about. I'm only giving you a couple of minutes to talk about your Sydney Kings, right? So let's start off, right? So round 6 has recently finished on Sunday there. I know you went to that Kings game. You're not very happy at the moment, are you?
No, so we lost both games on the weekend. We lost
who'd you lose to on Friday?
Friday night, we lost to the Perth Wildcats. Bryce Cotton out. Ty Webster out, still lose the game. Go to Sydney, who just go back to Sydney, play New Zealand, who got absolutely manhandled a few nights before, right? 62, one of their lowest ever scores in the history of the franchise, and they come put 93 on us at Kudos Bank Arena. We lose. Just news coming out that Jalen Adams is out indefinitely.
I'm hearing different to that, Woods.
Yeah.
I heard Olgun Ulick say on the podcast today he may be even back this week. He's not going to be at 100%, but he may be back this week. So maybe watch this space with the Jalen Adams news there. But
because I was just
loss.
listening to the roundtable, and McQuaid and Rosen were like they're thinking about getting an injury replacement. He could be 4 to 6 weeks out. So let's just see how that develops. Yeah. But something about Cam Oliver not playing in the crunch time. It's come out that he's not coming back on defense, and he's being lazy. And then Brian Gorgian's not having any of it and taking him out of the game. So it's fair enough. Brad Rosen was just saying that on the roundtable. So all is not well within the Kings camp. They're 5-4 at the moment.
It's hard to believe they've lost 4 games already, right?
Absolutely.
And one question I want to ask you was, apparently Gorgian doesn't call his subs right. So he gets his assistant coaches to call the subs. And apparently he'll look on the court sometimes like, what are those 2 guys out there? That's pretty alarming to hear that, I've got to say. And that's been a bit of criticism is his game management and his substitution patterns. We saw that with the Boomers. That's a bit of a worry hearing that. Your coach isn't making the subs and doesn't know who's on the court sometimes.
That is a big concern for me, but I think with the whole Cam Oliver thing, that's him telling Cam Oliver to come out of the game when he doesn't get back on D.
And that's fair enough.
Right? So, I mean, we understand now what it is. Like, he's put in the doghouse because he's not, Gorgian's an X's and O's coach, right? And if you're not going to get in line and do the things that he asks you to do, he's going to make you sit on the bench. So now that I have an understanding of why Oliver's sitting during crunch time, it makes sense. He's making an example of him. Look, this is the star recruit we've got in our team. If he's not going to do the right thing, he's going to sit on the bench, which means that all of you got to follow,
Yeah. Well, good call. We'll maybe put up the games for this week's round because Sydney have got the first game and it's an absolute cracker, right, against Melbourne United. So they could fall to 50% with a loss in this one. Melbourne will obviously go in favourite. So why don't you maybe talk through these games and we can give a couple of quick picks.
All right, we'll go Melbourne and Sydney. I got Melbourne to win against my Kings at home.
Melbourne's got a few injuries as well. I love the look of Flynn Cameron in those games last weekend. He looked great, didn't he? The son of a gun there. So, I think Melbourne, they had a good round last week, and I think that'll continue.
Delhi's back, and will be fully fit.
I don't know if Shayili's back?
I think he's very close to coming back. Ian Clark is on fire. I mean, the team's looking good. So
a lot of teams on doubles as well. That's right, Woods. I think there's 8 games in total, so that means quite a lot of games. Quite a lot of teams are playing doubles.
Right. Tasmania versus Southeast Melbourne. Who you got?
Yeah, I'd say Tassie at home with that one. I still don't feel like I fully trust this Tassie team, but I think they should get enough done on their home court in that one.
Right, Squin, let's go to Perth versus Illawarra. Wildcats have Cotton and Ty Webster out, right, Robbie?
Yeah.
Right, and Illawarra Hawks.
Good game.
Yep.
Hawkies. Go Hawkies. People used to question me when I was younger why I'm not an Illawarra Hawks fan, given I was New South Wales country myself. But I grew up following the Kings before I even started playing basketball. But I don't know, Woods, am I a Hawkeys fan now? Because I'm just loving everything they're doing. Even their old school jerseys, which is that plain bright red, bright white. Someone said on X the other day it reminds them of the Illawarra Steelers jersey. And that is exactly the feeling that I had when I saw those jerseys. I'm picking the Hawks for that one.
Yeah, and
fair pick,
yeah, and a fair point as well. They're really fun to watch. Coach Tatum, he's got that team humming. Actually, a bit of controversy that came out during the week with the Hawks and Coach Tatum giving a real big spray at the press conference afterwards about inequality. In fact, the topic of race was even brought up in his press conference, that he felt that maybe the color of his skin was impacting the way the referees were treating him. If he had his chance again, he'd probably want to take that back. What he was trying to insinuate here was there's double standards in the league. Vickerman gets treated one way, I get treated the other way, which there may be some credence in that, right? So he's been fined a lot. I think $4,000 is a pocket change for him, but he's been fined. And I think the Hawks will really have a point of proof here in Perth.
Did you hear that as well, Woods? Because that he was obviously ranting a bit after the game had finished. It actually falls under Basketball Australia jurisdiction rather than the NBL. So if it was during the 40-minute game, it would have been an NBL decision. Because it was after that, in the press conference and that, it was then Basketball Australia. So that was a bit of a strange quirk, I thought, with that one there. But Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think probably I don't disagree with what he said. I've got to say firstly, I think
I
Chris
don't at all.
Golding is really starting
Yeah.
to piss a few coaches off. I mean, I know people will talk about Cotton, trying to flop and stuff. Cotton's 70 kilos and about 5'11" sort of thing. Golding's a pretty solid sort of guy there, but yeah, he's good at flopping, but I think it's starting to get on people's nerves. So, no, good call.
I think
that one.
Coach Tatum was just frustrated and he said a few
Yeah.
things, right,
Yeah.
in the heat of the moment. And Squin, you can attest to that. That can happen from time to time, right?
There's a distinction between he's saying, hey, I'm probably maybe I'm intimidating them for these reasons, but not necessarily saying, hey, the refs don't like me because I'm black. Like, I think there was a fine line between the two.
Yeah, I think Squin, one thing I want to pull apart that you said right there was he said a whole heap of things. Amongst that, he mentioned the race thing in a very small moment. And being the media, they take that, pull it apart, and that's the story, right? So it's very good that you pointed that out. Okay, let's move on. New Zealand versus Adelaide. Who you got, Robbie?
Mate, it's the Montrezl Harrell show. I can't wait to watch that. He's an MVP candidate the way he's playing. So looking forward to see his first trip over there. I think Adelaide will continue to play well and win this one.
All right. Okay, this game on Saturday. What do we call it, Robbie? Cairns versus Brisbane.
Stoush? Is that one?
Yeah,
No, the
Sunshine.
Sunshine Stoush. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I know you know what
exactly.
it is. Yeah.
Man, Cairns look really, really bad.
Yeah.
Is Taron Armstrong back?
I don't believe so. That's a tough one to pick, isn't it, that one? I'm going to maybe
Yeah.
say Brisbane.
Yeah, it's going to be an ugly game. All right, I'll go Brisbane too. All right.
Emmett Nar suiting up for that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Could be, couldn't he? Good to see him back. in the league.
Wow. Right? Yeah, great to see him back in the league. I thought he was lost to the NBL, so good to see he's back. All right. Southeast Melbourne, Perth. Southeast Melbourne got the new coach, Squin, right? New coach theory. Do you think they can topple the Perth Wildcats at home?
No, I'm still tipping Perth for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a safe bet, I think.
I don't know whether this is an official new coach theory, Woods. I know it is like a new coach, but normally new coach theory is when a coach gets sacked and then like they win the next week. So like they did with Sam McKinnon. This is kind of different, but I guess it's still a new coach theory. But no, I don't think, especially if we've got Perth losing Friday, I think they should go over to Melbourne and get the win in this one.
Well, you brought Sam McKinnon up, so I'm going to ask you about him. I mean,
Hard done by, I reckon.
he's a head coach in the NBL, right? He deserves that opportunity. Do you agree?
I do. And how about Southeast News as well? Tommy Greer's stepping down as well. So it's been a pretty rough couple of weeks for the Phoenix.
Yep. Hopefully they can, keep going down this path. 2 of the last 3 games I think they've won, right? So let's see. All right, Kings versus Jack Jumpers, Robbie.
Are you going to the doubleheader? The
I am.
Flames are on first. That'll be nice, won't it?
I am. That's
a
at
pretty good
2:30,
game.
right? The Flames are at 2:30.
Yeah, they're 4:30 Kings.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I'll go to both.
I mean, look, I think it's a big game for the Kings. If we've got them losing, Thursday night to Melbourne, which probably we're all thinking there, this is, if they lose this one, they then drop under 50%, and that'll be 6 losses for the season, which would be huge. So, this is a tough one, isn't it? I'm going to say Kings without much confidence.
Yeah, me too. Not much confidence. All right. Melbourne versus New Zealand. We've got Monday Night Basketball back. That's pretty cool because next week we're only going to not have a game on Tuesday.
Well, you know why there's a game Monday, Woods? Because there's a horse race the next day that, 3 minutes of the day when they take a day off for it in Victoria there. So it's good though, isn't it? I know they had a big crowd last year for the the game before Melbourne Cup. So yeah, good on them for doing that.
Yep. I think I got Melbourne United to win that as well.
Good stuff. Well, big round anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, excited.
Well,
Woods,
can
I
we
just want to ask
go
Woods really quick. Kelly LePepe, are you a fan? Are you buying
Awesome.
his jersey or what?
I've already got it. I got it like on day one. I'm a huge fan of his. I mean, the kind of attitude LePepe brings is what should rub off on some of his teammates, right? He gives a damn. It's give a damn factor. I talk about it on the podcast a lot. You cannot, teach that. You either have it or you don't. And Kelly gives a damn. He's going to get an offensive rebound for you, get second shot opportunities for your team. He's a coach's dream. Love him. And crowd favorite, right?
I'm so impressed with how he plays with his size. He's an undersized big, but he's built.
Yeah, he is.
But he's still quick. He's still got range. And he uses his size in such a smart way where he can clear space without fouling and clear space to make sure he is still finishing under the basket over people who have got longer reach than him. Like, I am so impressed with him, and I'm really stoked with how quickly he's made an impact on the league in his debut season.
Right, that soft touch he's got from outside, you wouldn't expect it, right? You see this big guy just jacking up at three, and he's got that nice soft touch from outside, which is a huge skill set to have, right? So
You've definitely got love for that guy already, Woods. I know that. So,
I do, yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I'm just going to throw you two quick questions about the NBA, Woods. So we're just, tomorrow will be a week since the season started. So we obviously wanted to just quickly chat about that. I wanted to take you back to the opening game there, the Boston Celtics playing New York, getting their 18th championship banner there. I know it's obviously a few days back, but how impressive were they against New York? And how good are they looking this season? They're so far 4-0, one of 3 undefeated teams in the NBA. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Boston's start to the year?
it's expected. You know, they've spent the last 4 or 5 years fighting for a championship. They've gone through battles in the playoffs to get to that championship last year. And now they're a well-rounded unit, you know, and they leave no stone unturned. You know, all the bases are covered. Jason Tatum is just taking that leadership level to another, another step above. He's got Jalen Brown, Al Horford's coming back. Kristaps Porzingis is just sitting in the wings waiting to come back. So I think the experience of winning that championship, raising that banner, after all the trials and tribulations they went through, have put them in a place right now where they're the team to beat, right? So
what about Peyton Pritchard today as well? Man, he just shows you someone can come off the bench and then drop a 30-piece for him like that. So they're very deep, aren't they?
I mean, Sam Hauser could do that on another given day, right? So
I think they were tested against Detroit, but their wins have been pretty decent so far this year. So they're certainly the favourites, I think, at this stage after a very small sample size.
And Coach Mazzulla's done a great job. You know, a lot of people are a bit indifferent about him, but he's really got it. He's, 36, 37 years old.
Funky Joe Mazzulla. Yeah, he's good, isn't he?
He's awesome. I like him a lot. Yeah.
Well, not just we want to talk about the big teams. I did want to ask you about the Lakers as well, Wood. So they did have their first loss today, so they're currently 3-1. Their 3 wins are against pretty good Western Conference rivals. So they beat Minnesota, Phoenix, and Sacramento before losing a game against Phoenix today. So what have you thought of their season so far, Woods? And how amazing is Anthony Davis been so far?
He's been ridiculous. And JJ Redick, you can already see him putting his fingerprints on this team. Look at Rui Hachimura, man. He's putting up, 18 and 10, some ridiculous numbers. Even today, LeBron had he nearly broke his streak of double-digit scoring games. He had 11 points today, I think. He only had 9 till a few minutes.
A bit from the field, wasn't
right?
Yeah.
They lost by 2-3 points to Phoenix. 4 points to Phoenix, and LeBron had a bad day. I think the Lakers under JJ Redick are going to thrive, man. Just watch this space, right?
And I'll put you on the spot for this one, Woods. Give me one player and one team that's impressed you so far in this opening week that maybe it wasn't right on your radar. So a player and a team. Could be anyone.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Oof, good call.
Right?
How good has... Today, or he was near a triple-double with
He's
with
just so much fun to watch, right? Just a Swiss Army knife. There's a little bit of everything. You didn't think I'd say that, did you?
Well, I actually picked up in one of my leagues today, so he was on my radar. So that's a great pick. Yeah, I like that. Scottie Pippen Jr. from Memphis. What about a team that's maybe surprised you? Could be good or bad surprise, you know?
I mean, I'm going to stick with my Charlotte Hornets, man. Like, LaMelo Ball is worth the price of admission. And I've watched all their games. Sure, they haven't won. Brandon Miller's been out. But just watching LaMelo Ball and what he can do on a basketball court, it's just amazing, man. Just want to watch the TV every second he's on the floor. So
that game against the Hawks, watching him and Trey go at it. I mean, nine made threes that game.
Man, that was fun.
So that was impressive to watch, wasn't it? So, good call. Right, we're going to finish off with a little quick bit of true or false. So we know everyone's enjoying this part there. So I've just got 3 questions for us today. Squin, the first one's for you. So true or false, the WNBL title this season will be won by a team in Victoria.
Oh,
you've already given your prediction.
She's already said that.
True. But that gives some pretty good teams in Victoria, right? So it's probably, you'd take them over the rest of the field, wouldn't you, I guess?
Yeah, so you'll have, Geelong, Bendigo, or Flyers.
Yeah.
3 out of the 8 teams. Very strong chance.
Okay, true. The grand final of the WNBL team will be played by 2 Victorian teams. I'll narrow it down a bit.
False. I'm going to say false.
Okay.
It will be a Victorian team and a team from elsewhere.
All right, I like that. Kind of a similar question up for you, Woods. So this is looking a little bit different from when I wrote this after the Kings road trip, but the NBL title this season will be won by a team from New South Wales. True or false?
False.
Okay, false. Yeah. So you're thinking like Melbourne's probably...
United,
yeah.
at this point.
I think there's a lot of time for Sydney to turn around. I was thinking that, there's a lot of people sort of panicking. They've played, 9 games? I think there's a lot of time for them to right this ship. They've obviously got the talent there, but I think a fair call, right?
What does our good friend Stuart Chalmers say when you actually say the opposite of what you want to happen? There's a word for it? That's what I'm going with right here.
Okay, I can't think of the word. But all right, no, fair
No,
point, fair point.
I agree, Woods. Like when we get asked to do all the NBL one predictions and all that, then some of my friends who are either playing or coaching in their respective leagues get upset when I don't predict their teams that they're going to win or win an award. And I'm like, do you want me to jinx you?
Exactly.
I can by naming
Exactly.
you. That's why I don't name you, because I don't want you to be jinxed.
Squin said it, man.
It's real.
It's real. It's a real
Yeah,
thing.
cool. Well, last one for you, Woods.
Okay.
Jason Tatum is a legit MVP chance this season. True or false?
100% true.
Okay, because we've spoken about, obviously there hasn't been an American that's won it since it's got to be 7 years now, I think, since like an American-born player's won it. We sort of talked about Squin maybe for the rest of the 2020s. It could be, you know, your Jokers, your Wembies, these sort of guys. Maybe we don't see another American win it till the 2030s. But you're saying he's a big chance, Woods.
Him or Anthony Edwards are going to be the next American.
Yeah.
Him or Anthony Edwards will be the next American to win an MVP, I would say.
I'll tell you what, speaking of Anthony's, I know it's a small sample size, but if Anthony Davis continues to play like this, he could be a sneaky chance. But there's a guy at Denver that might have something to say about this after his last 2 40 pieces, right? Now he's adding 7 made 3-pointers to his repertoire and Nikola Jokic there. But
Nuggets are
interesting.
terrible, though.
Yeah, no, good call. All right, guys, well, it's been loads of fun. Yeah, sorry, Swin.
Oh, no, and I was going to say, sometimes, though, it can go the opposite way. I know we said we just sometimes jinx our friends when we name them in predictions, but sometimes when we just are spitballing, sometimes we can manifest things into fruition when we do a podcast. So I'm just going to put it out there. The two Tatums, Jason Tatum winning MVP and Justin Tatum winning a championship in the same year, that'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. And maybe Deuce Tatum to win a future NBA title, right? How fun was he to watch on that starting 5 show as well?
He's awesome.
He's a funny little kid.
What a great dad he is as well. Yeah.
Have you watched that yet, Squin? Starting 5 on Netflix? Really good show. It's like,
No,
I recommend that to
because,
anyone who hasn't seen it.
I'm in my penny pinching era and I have cut back all of my subscriptions. I will have to get Netflix though at some stage to binge watch that and when Black Mirror returns.
Oh,
because
sick. Yeah.
Black Mirror, best original Netflix show ever. When that returns, then I will have to be either that or I have to go home and use my mum's account like I did recently and binge watch Heartbreak High.
Black Mirror is like the really dark stories that are one by one, isn't it?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah,
It's
that
very,
show-
very dark.
That show's awesome. Yeah.
Really, psychological thrillers, very smartly written. But yeah,
Yep.
each episode has a different theme, and it always has some kind of theme to do with like technology versus humans, kind of theme.
love that.
Very speaking very broadly, but it's a really great show. Really good.
Nice. Well, look, really appreciate it, guys. I feel like we could speak all night about all this stuff going on. I know we're
Definitely.
all so looking forward for the WNBL season to start tomorrow. NBL's back Thursday, and obviously the NBA season's in full swing. So take us to a bit of an outro. So as I mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, or of course on YouTube. We're approaching that 10,000 subscribers mark now, Woods, which is we never thought we'd get anywhere near there. So really appreciate everyone's support there. We
Thank
love
you.
doing this for you guys, and we'll continue to do so. We can be followed on X at Throwback Hoops, Instagram throwback.hoops, and if you want to drop us an email, give us some jersey suggestions or anything like that, that's throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Woods, give us the Patreon details.
Yeah, Patreon. If you jump on there and you look for Throwback Hoops and you want to pledge your support to us, we'd appreciate it. You don't have to, but for all those that do, we thank you.
Awesome. Now, just Squinter, where can people listen, connect with you, all that sort of cool stuff?
Yes, so if you would like to, you can listen to me commentate on the currently NBL 1 North games of the week. I've just done that for this season and hopefully for next. I also sometimes commentate the FIBA Junior tournaments, which you can find on the FIBA YouTube channel. You can hear me on podcasts for Season 6 of Shooting the Breeze was our last season that we're going back and reviewing, so catch some Season 6 of Shooting the Breeze. Also, Eastcock Game, the unofficial NBL 1 East podcast, and I've also started to... Yeah, that's right. I've got you covered, Robbie. And also a brand new podcast that some of my friends have created that I'm going to casually contribute to is called the WNBL Pulse, which is purely WNBL focused. So there's a new podcast to keep an eye out. On socials, you can find me on Instagram at Jacinta_Govind. I'm on X as S_Squin. And if you want to watch me, you can currently find me on a YouTube series called Survivor Canberra, which is a replica of the famous reality show Survivor, but it was set in Canberra. It was filmed 2 years ago and is just now popping up on YouTube now. And it's actually a very good series. So if you need another reason to cancel me, go and watch that.
I have seen that come up on Facebook, Woods, and I am a massive. Squints. I am a massive Survivor fan as well. So maybe
he's a super fan, man. He's watched every episode of Survivor.
I am a super fan. Yeah,
right?
No, true. So no, I like the idea of that. Woods, we'll throw to you for a final word. You know, I love getting you to do that. How good was our special guest again this week, right?
Man, she's amazing, right? Not only a guest, a great friend of ours. And Squin, let's ask you, how's life in Brisbane? Didn't check with you. Squin's moved to Brisbane obviously over the last year. So how's that all gone for you?
Yeah, it's great so far, to be honest. No complaints really. I've lucky that I've got a really good job that is the polar opposite to the working environment and conditions I had back home, in a good way. Yeah, the weather is great. I'm still weirdly I know it's tropical, but I'm still not 100% living and accepting that it is tropical. So now we're heading into the season where it's hot and humid again in the day, and then it'll just pour down with rain in the afternoon, just like if you were visiting Thailand or Bali during rainy season. It's the same. And then I'm still adjusting to no daylight saving either. So tonight I was like, great, I only have to go on at 8 o'clock. And I was like, oh no, wait, that's their 8 o'clock. That's my 7 o'clock. But no, honestly, it's great. Was very lucky to be so heavily involved with NBL 1 North up here, considering they didn't know me from a bar of soap. They just took me on to do the games of the week based on a very good friend, Mal Crawford. He is from the Ball Don't Lie podcast, and we commentated at the inaugural NBL 1 Nationals together a few years ago. So purely based on his word, I got to start with the games of the week and managed to commentate the finals, and then got to do some stuff at Nationals again on the sunny coast. So yeah, lots of ticks and not a lot of crosses. I've been very, very fortunate since I've been here.
Well, that's great to hear, Squin, that you're settling into a new environment and life is treating you well. I'm looking forward to catching up with you in December when I visit Brisbane. That's it from me, Robbie. I think enjoy the NBA is fully underway. The WNBL starts tomorrow. The NBL is alive and kicking. A lot of basketball. So to all our fans, sit back and enjoy.
That's it. Thanks so much again for joining us. Appreciate the tuning in. Peace out from the Throwback Hoops crew.
Bye, guys.
Love your work, guys.